Alright, shalom, shalom to the nation of Israel, shalom. Alright, this is your brother Kazaki out of Great Millstone, New Orleans, coming at you with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shimon Shah, right? But prior to getting started, we want to give all infinite honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem, Al-Kakadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone who rule and teach well, peace, blessings, and salutations be to the whole elect scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, alright? And the title of today's lesson is going to be, hey, look, news and prophecy, alright? Alright, that's the title of today's lesson, news and prophecy, alright? And this is a quick little post from, it says GMS Maccabean Spirit. I believe this is the beloved brother, the elder out of Great Millstone, Chicago. Okay, the elder brother Malcolm posted up, and this is going into this article, okay, this news clipping is going into basically how Italy is going to basically thinking of, going to join or do talks or some type of trade or commerce, whatever, with Russia, okay? And this goes back into the scriptures, man. It goes, I believe it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's Revelation 17 and maybe around the 16th verse, okay? All right, and because we know, according to scripture, that the different nations that America is allied with will turn against America, okay, according to the scriptures, all right, because America is Babylon the Great, okay, in the scriptures, all right. And I'm gonna cover some of this article, probably the bulk majority, and we're gonna get some precepts, Lord willing, okay. All right, so this is from the Kiev Post, okay. It's a Maloney. It says Europe should talk to Russia, okay. All right, this is basically the beginning of the end. What's one of the movies say, the beginning of the end, my friend. All right, this is, this is where the U.S. takes a downward spiral, man, down the toilet bowl, okay, when their own allies turn against them, okay. Now let's read what it says. It says Italy's prime minister added that the EU should appoint an envoy to deal directly with Russia's president Vladimir Putin, okay. And like we're saying, we're going to get the scriptures on this too as well. It says, since the beginning of negotiations, it says many voices have been speaking out, okay. So they're like, man, look, we need to, probably at least hear these people out, see what they got to say, man. We need to know, okay. Now let's go. I'll read this real quick. It says Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, it says, speaks during a press conference at the end of the European Council meeting okay. And we'll read some more here. It says, if we were to make the mistake of deciding on the one hand to reopen dialogue with Russia, and on the other hand to proceed in a disorganized way, and this is the way that they see the United States leading, right? Babylon the Great, aka America, okay, whose destiny, whose fate, whose lot is to be completely destroyed with thermonuclear fire, man, okay? A disorganized way. This is disorganization, man, right? To go into another country, to take over the president and threaten other countries, right? Okay, to take it over, right, for its resources, basically, because that's why they went into Venezuela, okay. The U.S. went into Venezuela to take the oil, man, right? They opened up with the initial, we got gangs in our country, so we're gonna go to their country and dismantle the gangs, right? And everybody behind them, who's behind the so-called Nero 47 regime, right? They was all down for it, okay. They was like, yeah, let's go ahead and take it out. But the whole time it was a plan for what? Resources, okay. It says to proceed in a disorganized way, we should be doing it says we would be doing Putin a favor. It says, she said, concluding, we have had this problem from the start. Too many voices speaking, too many formats, right? Because ultimately, this devil is being what he's supposed to be, a devil, man. He's speaking two different ways, okay? Right? He comes in all peaceably, right? Let me get this real quick. Let's get this out of the scriptures, right? I believe it's somewhere around here. Psalms 50. Let's see. Might be Slack. It might be. Yeah, this Slack. Yeah, Psalms 55 and verse 21. It says, "The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war, right? But war was in his heart." War is on Esau, Edom, the Edomites, so-called white man's mind, man. Okay? All right, the Lord is bringing them back, okay? Well, which they never really left, right? Because, U.S. has always been underneath some type of, battlefront, forefront, of war, man. Okay? But now, they're going to have to deal with issues, on the home front, in a very major way, man. Okay? And it says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. Okay? His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawing swords, man. Okay? So this man comes, peaceably. He comes docile. He comes like a lamb, like a sheep, right? But inwardly, he's a wolf. He's a lion. He's a snake. Okay, a deceiver, a liar, a master manipulator, a deceptor. Okay, this is who we dealing with on a daily basis, man. That's why she was saying, let me go back to the article real quick. It says, we have had this problem from the start. Too many voices speaking, too many formats, man. These people are all over the place. Right? They tell you one thing 1 minute, and the next minute they're telling you something else, man. Okay? It says the Trump administration has been engaged in shuttle diplomacy with Ukraine and Europe on one side and Russia on the other. It said, but Moscow has shown a little willingness, all right, to make compromise to Kiev. And it says, and its allies equivalent to their own. Okay, say, man, look, we're not compromising from out of our situation. The whole point of the war was we didn't want the equipment there. You guys kept moving the equipment. You wanted to join you in, dealing with Ukraine. Okay, they wanted you to join a NATO or whatever. We told you, no, that's too close to the border. We told you to stop moving equipment. You continue to move equipment. Well, this is the end result. Okay? We're not going back and forth with you on this. All right? Let's see if we get some more on that. All right? All right, bear with me one sec. Make this turn. All right, it says Macron. All right, well, Macron. It says, who said that it would be in our interest as Europeans and Ukrainians to find the right framework, okay? And it says to re-engage Russia in talks rather than relying on U.S. negotiators. Right? And like I was saying, this is going back into what, man? Revelation. Okay, the 17th chapter. And as a matter of fact, we'll just get it real quick because I believe the article is going to end anyway. Because it's bits and pieces, it's not the whole thing, if I'm not mistaken. All right, this is Revelation 17 and 16. Okay, and it says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked. Okay, the 10 horns represents what? Basically European Union, NATO, right? The alliances that America has with these other countries, man. Okay, so if Italy and these other European countries start to go another route, okay, the route of Russia, right, so to speak, then it's, who do you got left? Right? I mean, the scriptures say, woe to them that are alone, right? You ain't got a friend to help you. That's, it's, more along going on lines of, spiritual talk, brothers, uplifting other brothers, but, just in a general conversation, sometimes you just need help in general. Sometimes it takes two to get a job done. Okay, but when you make yourself an enemy to everyone, you become the outcast. Okay, and that's what is going to happen with Babylon the Great, aka America. They're gonna become the outcast, and they're still gonna want to fight, right, and do all these crazy, so-called economic deals, taking over other countries. They're still going to want to do things against all the other nations' wishes, which is going to basically lead to, destruction, right? The other countries going to shoot ICBM missiles, at America and destroy it completely, eradicate it off the map. And the Lord's going to come back and, add insult to injury, right? And he going to do his thing, right, with the angels, okay? And he's going to deliver the elect all at the same time. And it says, and they shall make her desolate, all right, and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire, man. And what's the fire? Those ICBM missiles, man. Those intercontinental ballistic missiles that they created. Okay, that's going to be the fire. All right, let's go to verse 17 real quick. And it says, for God have put in their hearts to fulfill his will. So these people are only doing what the Lord wants them to do, man. Okay, that's all they doing, right? They're fulfilling the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of the power shall be fulfilled, man. And a woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth, man. So the point is, man, look out. Okay, Yahweh Shai right now, Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai is on a tear, man, as far as prophecy. You thought last year was crazy. We're 17 days or so into this year, and it's been it's been prophetically beautiful, man. All right, let me go back to this article, and then Lord willing, we'll try to end off soon. And it says, I think Macron is right on this. I believe the time has come for Europe to also speak with Russia. Maloney told a press conference in Rome, if Europe speaks to only one of the two sides on the field, I fear that the contribution it can make will be limited. Ooh. So there you have it, man. And Italy is a small, it's, a major country, but, a smaller major country within that alliance, man. All right. And, let's go get this real quick. We're going to end off. Let's go. Let's see here. Bear with me. I'll start around verse 33. All right, this is Jeremiah 50 and verse 33. It says, thus saith the Lord of hosts. It says the children of Israel and the children of Judah were pressed together, right? We came over here, right? Basically, both enslaved, right? 1492, 1619, okay, right? we've had some major issues, man, right? Dealing with this damn devil, man, right? Who basically seek to, completely destroy us, right? To eradicate us from off the planet Earth, man, right? And because of those dealings, right? Those type of issues, those things, man, okay, he's going to be destroyed. And then eventually, go into slavery and then eradicated off the earth, okay, according to the scriptures, right? And that's Esau, Edom, the Edomites, the so-called white man we're talking about, all right? For context, for, purpose, okay? So our people were oppressed together, man. We went through the same things, okay? That's why we have Deuteronomy 28, okay, in place, so to speak, all right? The curses, right? And it says, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go, right? You know what I'm saying? I believe the scriptures say that, no man basically gave us rest, man. Pursuing back to Revelation 11 chapter, right? These other nations basically knew who we are, right? But they didn't allow us to know who we are and tell us who we are. All worship our power, man. They all had an agreement going back to Psalms, the 83rd chapter. Okay. Now, let's go to the next verse. It says, the Redeemer is strong. Okay. And the Redeemer of who? Israel. Is okay. And it says, the Lord of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause. It says that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon, man. Yeah, so the Lord is going to judge the nations on what they did to his people, man. Okay. All right. And let me see here. If I wanted to get feel like there was something else I wanted to get. But we'll get one more verse here. Lord willing, we'll close out. It says, a sword is upon the Chaldeans, saith the Lord, and upon the inhabitants of Babylon, and upon her princes, and upon her wise men, man. Yeah, Lord. So the Lord is sending what? Death, destruction, right? Okay, famine, right? And eventually, nuclear missiles to Babylon the Great. But the point is, hey, look, these other nations that are at league and alliance, right? Such as Italy, right? Okay. They got to leave the whore, man. Okay. According to prophecy, right? Pursuing back to Revelation, the 17th chapter, okay? And destroy this whore, man. Right? And that was a, matter of fact, I'm going to get this. I'm going to have to kind of look for it. Bear with me. Salakia, give me 1 sec. This is Jeremiah 50 and verse 28. It says, the voice of them that fled and escape out of the land of Babylon, to declare in Zion the vengeance, right? The vengeance of the Lord, right? And the vengeance of his temple. It says, call together the archers against Babylon, all ye that bend a bow, camp against it round about. Let none of them escape. Recompense, right, her according to her work, according to all that she have done. Okay, all right. And these arrows, right, that these archers are going to shoot, okay, these different nations, all right, is those thermal ICBM missiles, okay, intercontinental ballistic missiles. The same things he used to create to destroy nations, the Lord is going to use those same things to destroy him, man. Right? And that's his fate. That's his lot, his destiny. Okay? as we were saying earlier. All right. And it says, according to all the work that she have done, do unto her, for she have been proud against the Lord. Right? These devils are extremely proud against the Lord. Okay. And it says against the Holy One of Israel, man. Okay. Because they basically try to eradicate the name of Israel from off the earth, man. Now, when you mention Israel or the Israelites, people, they're like, what are you talking about? The Lord, the doctrine is the Lord's coming back to save everybody. But now, since the Great Awakening, we've been what, man? You know what I'm saying? We've been set back up on our feet to preach the truth. So great fear is falling upon the people, as the scriptures say. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai. Hey, look, the Lord is going to work his work, right? He's going to do marvelous things. He's on a tear, man, right? To do what he needs to do to as far as prophecy is concerned, right? Okay, so Lord willing, this lesson was edifying, first and foremost, to the hopeful elect. But prior to getting out of here, hey, look, the title of today's lesson was a news and prophecy. Okay, all right, we have a lot going on. We're seeing the change with these other nations, right? We're seeing wars, right? We're seeing the Gestapo at hand. Okay, all right, and we're doing what the Lord told us to do, man, as far as the work is concerned. But yeah, that's all I got, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai, Lord willing. This was edifying first and foremost to the hopeful elect. But prior to getting out of here, we want to give all infinite honor and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem HaKakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone who rule and teach well. Peace, blessings, and salutations be to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, all right? Kwam Yasha Allah, Ababa Ball, and Shalom.